I'm not going to argue with you about these issues because we're not even working on the same set of facts.
So this other person is apparently dressed as a furry, wearing some sort of Miss Piggy outfit that is friends with the goofy person sitting out in the middle of the road.
They're both pedophiles, Clinton and Trump.
So where's the picture of Clinton?
We don't have one.
It's currently 11:46 on October 18th, and I am here at where the No Kings rally is going to start at noontime. I did a pre-event interview with Jen Mazzuckelli, who is the organizer of this event. It ended kind of abruptly, and I didn't get to a lot of the questions that I would have asked about, paid participants, so on and so forth. But their event is about to start. I'm going to get out of here because I believe people should have the right to have their protest in relative peace. Jen Mazzuckelli and I did agree on 3 things you'll see in the interview. One is that illegals should be out of the country. The second one is that illegals shouldn't be able to vote in federal elections, for sure. And the third thing is that there should be uber government transparency. Okay, it's Saturday, October 18th, and I'm sitting here with let's start over. Hold on. It's Saturday, October 18th, and I'm sitting here with Jen Mazzuckelli.
Whoa.
So that's the first time I said it right. And
nice.
We could have an outtake that I said your first name wrong. So it was so much when we first take, I said your first name wrong because I was so wanting to make sure I got Mazzuckelli right.
My grandmother used to say it's the imperfections that add to
That's the first time. So I've said your last name correctly. So
nice.
All right. So I'm sitting here with Jen Mazzuckelli. She is the organizer of the No Kings protest. You were the organizer of the last one, which was at the Veterans Park in Union Township. We're now sitting in the parking lot of the old Staples, the defunct Staples in the Eastgate Mall parking lot. And your event starts at noon.
Correct.
Today on the 18th. So first, before we get into the politics of it and the viewpoints, what caused you to move from the park, the Veterans Park, to here?
I mean, mainly it was parking.
Okay.
Especially now that they've added the playground and the basketball court, it's hard to get parking. So the first one that we had, people were already having a hard time parking, so they were parking.
And where are people going to park? If people are standing here, where are they going to park? In the mall parking lot?
Yeah,
now, did you get permission from the Big Lots to have this here?
We're actually going to have the protest on the sidewalk, which is public property.
You got permission to use their parking lots?
The mall? Yeah, it's good.
So you need to, if I've done things here, you need to get permission to use their parking lots.
The mall's cool with us parking there as long as we don't protest there. I just talked to Union Township cop last night.
Well, he's not the owner of the mall.
He
okay.
was talking on their behalf.
Any event, so just so you know, if you're doing a protest, you have to get permission of a private place to use their parking lots. And I've had to get permission of the mall. The mall typically denies permission, but I can get permission back on the old Showcase Cinema area, which is a different parcel. But any event, all right, so it's here at noon. And help me to understand what's the, it's No Kings. In 30 seconds, what's the problem?
The first No Kings protest was on President's Day, and it was small. And it's
so you're expecting a bigger turnout this time?
So they said No Kings on President's Day. Absolutely. All the protests, every month there has been a National Day of Action.
But what's the message?
Basically, we're standing up to autocracy and tyranny, executive overreach.
So you don't think that, you think that's, and you associate that with the federal government in total?
Well, basically, yeah.
So, because I think here it's seen as a anti-Donald Trump protest when we have things like, I don't remember any protest by liberals against Obama droning and killing American citizens overseas. I don't remember any protest, of the oligarchies we've had of actual things like the Clinton family or the Bush family, where we keep getting the same retread uniparty political people in office. But so this has always come up to me as specifically an anti-Donald Trump protest.
And that makes sense because right now Trump is the one who's violating the Constitution, violating the laws.
How?
I mean, I don't want to get into an argument because
No, I just
you
want to.
and I
I'm
are
not going to argue
clearly
with you. I just want to have you
on
tell.
different sides.
I want
but
to have
for
you
example,
articulate the specific. Give me 3 examples of how you believe Donald Trump is currently violating the
Okay,
Constitution.
so in regarding ICE,
Okay.
they are arresting people without due process. They are incarcerating people. In Chicago, they have aggressively gone after journalists. American citizens are being detained. So that's the first thing is the immigration
So okay,
issue.
immigration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just not it this and to be clear, it's not necessarily an issue. I think the difference is between Obama, Clinton, all of the Bushes and everything. Those were policy disagreements, right? Democrats believed one thing, Republicans believed another thing. And we knew that if we disagreed with what was happening, we could put somebody different in office.
Or you could indict somebody on trumped up charges or change the law in New York to try to keep them from being able to run. So let's just get to the points, okay? Let's just get to the points. Immigration is one.
The reason why there are more protests. People, okay,
Immigration is one. What is
number two? Let's talk about elections, okay?
Elections.
The Department of Justice is personally purchasing voting machines to distribute. They're trying to get states to give them the voter rolls. People are not
Voter rolls are
convinced.
almost always public record regardless, like they are in Ohio. So they don't have to do a lot to get them since they're public records.
But they can't usually manipulate the data.
Well, how are
they just have the records? They're getting the
So
actual
what specifically is the
voter
constitutional violation related to elections?
Constitutional. Let's talk about state sovereignty, shall we? That's constitutional right there. Right now, the federal government is imposing federalism on states and trying to subrogate states' rights. For example, Chicago.
So like
the President of the United States ordered or strongly suggested that the Texas National Guard go to Illinois. The judge has said that's unconstitutional. 3 different judges have said it's unconstitutional.
Okay, well, hold on. I just want to, you're going there. But you said, and let's get the third thing before we even say it.
The third thing. So we've got ICE.
You said immigration, elections.
We've got people very concerned that elections will not be secure and fair.
So that's the second one.
And we've got number 3, there's just mass corruption and executive overreach. The Congress is sitting back and not doing anything. The illegal impoundments of monies. It's just.
Well, hold on a second. Isn't the Biden administration the ones that just, to me, illegally impounded money, for example, of unpopular political viewpoints? Like you happen to be a Russian and your money gets frozen, okay, with no due process whatsoever.
About Russian oligarchs in Russia?
I'm talking about there's
the sanctions?
Yeah, so labeling people, I'm just saying nobody should be able to have their, I would agree with you, nobody should be able to have their assets frozen, for example. Now you've covered the mic. So their assets frozen, for example, without some form of due process. Would you agree with that? And I don't care who the person is.
Right.
Okay, is it?
In this country. But when they did sanctions, also, President Biden did not make unilateral decisions. And any executive
order... The Congress voted?
Any executive, yes.
Okay.
Any executive order that he put out.
Okay.
People challenged it in court.
Let's go back.
People challenged it in court and it was thrown out.
Okay, so as you know,
and he followed
I like to not, to me, you might not agree, but I like to not get trapped in the shiny object stuff.
Yeah,
okay, like let's what ICE did and whatever, okay? So let me ask you a more fundamental question.
It was more the due process.
Let me ask you a more fundamental question.
Yes.
Do you believe that people who are in the country illegally should be removed from the country?
But they are entitled to
I just asked you a yes or no question.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, so you agree.
Yes.
So your issue is the method by which you feel that the president or the executive branch is attempting to enforce immigration law is improper.
Well, exactly, because everybody in this
But
country, whether they're a legal immigrant or a visitor or whatever, is
I
entitled
think
to
that's debatable.
due process.
No, I
It's
think it's
not.
so.
The courts have ruled on
So
that.
hold
It's
on.
not debatable.
Well, they're ruling on it right now with things on cases when there's a detainer and so forth. But I want to stick on, because we can get into some deep, discussion, and maybe we should someday do deep discussions on individual
fine.
topics. I just want to say though that you and I agree that people who are illegally in the country should be removed from the country. And if we agree on that, then the question is, what's the proper process by which to do that?
To go through immigration court.
Okay, but we agree on that.
Yes.
Okay, so
But
the second thing, election, I just want to, the election issue, you talk about states' rights.
Correct.
Okay, so
the Constitution
for example,
says that states determine the time, place, and manner of elections. States do that.
Okay, so but
wait, the federal government doesn't tell the states how to do their elections. That is a constitutional overreach.
There's a federal intersection that was caused by a thing called the Civil War about how federal law interrelates to state law. And so, for example, the Federal Voting Rights Act, I don't remember liberals saying the Federal Voter Rights Act was a imposition of states' rights, because you had states that were discriminating against voters and not allowing them to vote in their states.
But that's different.
Hold on a second. No, you can't have it both ways. If they're
enforcing civil rights, which affects everybody in the country.
So how is it
that's not a time, place, or manner. That's a who. Yeah, you can't prevent people from voting if they're lawful.
Yeah, but allowing. So, for example, a state allowing. I'm not saying this happened. I just want to say hypothetically, because we could then get in a big debate about what we think happened or hasn't. A state allowing, for example, non-citizens to vote in a federal election. So, by the way, I think non-citizens, a state can actually legally allow a non-citizen to vote in a state or local election if they wanted to. But in federal elections, there's a federal tie-in to the laws relating to elections. Would you agree that people who are not legally in the country should not be able to vote in federal elections, like Congress?
Personally, my personal opinion is, anybody who lives in this country should be allowed to vote.
Illegally?
Having said that, the law says that if you are not a lawful citizen, you do not have the right to vote. Therefore, no, I do not believe,
so if there were a state,
the law, that illegal.
Okay, so if there were a state,
undocumented immigrants,
if there were a state, let's just use this example because it's a practical example. If there was a state that was letting, and I'm not saying that they do, but if there was a state that was letting people who are not legally in the country vote in federal elections, Congress, the presidency, you would agree that that is a federal issue.
Correct.
Because you're basically taking away, you're effectively potentially canceling out votes of actual citizens by letting non-citizens vote.
We could debate that for hours.
But you would agree that that's wrong.
But that is a different issue than.
But it's a federal issue.
Right.
Okay. So on a federal election. So I think, Jen, on federal elections, the federal government has a interest in that those elections are conducted in the states in a manner that's consistent with the federal elements of a election.
Right.
So there's a difference between you and I hopefully both get there's a difference between state and local elections,
right,
and a federal election.
Right.
And I would agree that state and local elections should be almost entirely 100% local and state government issues. But when you get into a federal election, the Voter Rights Act and other things show there is a federal interest in those elections, and there's a constitutional responsibility of the federal government.
What happens is, if a state does something that violates a federal law, the Department of Justice investigates and prosecutes, and there is due process through the courts. The President of the United States does not.
Well, what is that? What exactly is the election specific thing? Give me an example of a specific thing that the federal government is currently doing that you feel is a constitutional violation.
The Department of Justice is purchasing voting machines.
Okay, I don't know about this.
It is a fact.
Do you believe that people should have to be able to present a government ID to be able to vote?
We do. That's the law.
It's not the law everywhere. In some states, do you believe that?
Everybody has to provide
ask me a yes or no question.
Identification.
Do you believe that in federal elections, nationwide that people should have to present a government-issued ID to be able to vote in a federal election.
Yes, but what they're trying to do
what's
right
up there?
now is they're trying to say passports only to prove citizenship.
There is not. That's ridiculous. Okay,
That's what they're doing.
That's absolutely ridiculous because the vast majority, like only about 15% of citizens have passports.
Right.
So
It's
I'm going to
called
vote. My
voter
passport's
suppression.
expired. Am I not going to be able to vote?
You have to get a new passport.
It's that you're completely
No.
ludicrous.
Okay.
The federal
I'm
government
not
is
gonna
requiring
continue this.
passports.
I've got stuff I need to do, Chris. So if you just want to get into policy differences,
Well, but I'm not going to let you. I'm not
about
going to let you
generally-
lie and
I'm
say
not
that the
lying.
federal government's making people have passports to vote.
That's not what I
That's
said.
insane.
That
Well,
is
what are
not
you
what
saying?
I said. What I said was they are wanting to pass legislation that you need passports. They're trying to do it in the state of Ohio. They're trying to do it on a federal level.
They are not.
They are. It's called the SAVE Act. Look into it.
Okay. So
They are. And the problem with that is a lot of older people or people who have gotten married don't necessarily have their original documents like birth certificates and stuff, and it will disenfranchise voters.
So the next one you had was corruption. The third one was corruption. What do you think is an example of corruption?
Okay, let's talk about, are you okay with us giving Qatar access to have military bases in this country? Are you okay with the President of the United States getting a multi-billion-dollar plane as a gift from a foreign country? Are you okay with all of the nepotism that's in there? Are you okay with all of the people who are not qualified for their jobs to hold their jobs, decimating our government? Are you okay with people who
Well, I think that the first element of, and obviously all those things you just said, you and I could have
about the press secretary who's running around saying that all the people here are Antifa, terrorists, and hate America.
I don't know that I've ever heard somebody say all of the people. Okay,
that is exactly how they're describing
I'm not aware of this. So
then you need to
and
pay
you
more
and I
attention
could
to the
debate
news.
about all of these issues. I think the number one hallmark of corruption is a lack of transparency. So you and I, would you say that you agree with me that government should be totally but you just said the voter rules maybe shouldn't be totally transparent.
That's not what I said.
Okay, so but yeah, let's just make
was,
sure we're set. There should be, you and I would agree that there should be total transparency.
The actual voter
The government
rolls. They should not be able to have them to manipulate.
Why? I can have them. I can request them from every state. Why?
No, you get a printout. You don't get the actual voter rolls.
Yes, I do.
That can be manipulated.
Yes, I do. In our own state.
Yeah, you get to personally manipulate the voter rolls.
I don't. There's a difference. Now you're stretching it to somehow.
No.
Do I think the federal government should be able to get the voter rolls?
Chris, I have to start getting ready. I can't. I'm not going to argue with you about these issues because we're not even working on the same set of facts.
Okay. Let me ask you one last question. I noticed on one of your signs, somebody has a big sign that says Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump together.
Okay.
As far as would you agree that Donald Trump did have a history of kicking Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago and being an informant in Jeffrey Epstein's first criminal conviction that should have been much bigger?
Okay.
Okay.
We're not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Here's the bottom line. This is the problem that we're having today. We do not have shared news sources because one side says that the other one's lying and the other one's propaganda.
And
so we are not operating on the same set of facts. And that way you put out misinformation and you tell me that actual facts are not true.
That illegal aliens should be out of the country. That
have a great day.
And that corruption, we should have total transparency.
We can sit down and we can have a longer chat about and debate this stuff. But right now I don't have time.
All right.
Have a great day.
So that's the report from Jen Mazzuckelli at the No Kings before it starts at noontime. I'm going to get out of here. It's 11:25 right now. I think the amount of intellectual inconsistencies stunning. I'd like to find common ground things, but a lot of the arguments tend to fall apart at just the most slight inspection. So this is the Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump picture I was referring to. If the people here had a picture, for example, of Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein also, I would maybe give him some credit. But the intellectual dishonesty to try to create a false narrative around Donald Trump's ties to Jeffrey Epstein, when hopefully we could find ways to agree on the political class being protected when they're engaged in such things, both Republicans and Democrats.
They're both pedophiles, Clinton and Trump.
So where's the picture of Clinton?
We don't have one.
We don't have one.
Yeah, because you're intellectually dishonest, right?
Bullshit.
Don't engage him.
Okay.
I think they know how the game goes. If they engage, they look like fools. Like, where is the Clinton picture? So they want to say that they're even-handed and both Clinton and Trump are pedophiles, but they don't have anything here saying that Clinton was a pedophile. Okay, so to me, this would be retardation. There's a person out in the road in a rascal trying to encourage people to come into this No Kings protest. Is this illegal? Yeah, it's absolutely illegal. But it's just goofy. But they're maintaining that the mall supports this, and I guess safety is not a big concern, and we'll just have somebody sit in the road on a rascal. So this other person is apparently dressed as a furry, wearing some sort of Miss Piggy outfit that is friends with the goofy person sitting out in the middle of the road. So I'm going to do something before I leave here and there. I'm going to be out of here before their protest starts. But I noticed something that seemed peculiar to me, is that it appears that the people are all having to sign in. And so they're lined up to sign in, which would tend to support at least concerns that there's paid people. Because I've done a lot of Trump events and we never had some sign-in process that had to take place. But these people all seem to know to immediately show up here and get in line to sign in, which I can't imagine trying to wrestle people at a Trump honkin' way, for example, that they all needed to sign in first.
Let's go.
So it just seems quite peculiar to me. Do you know why everybody has to sign in? Well, it seems kind of weird. I've done a lot of political rallies. I've never seen such a organized group of people that show up and immediately get in line to sign in.
Well, because if you ask someone, they'll say, you can sign in over there and they'll keep in class.
Why do you have to sign in at all?
So they know who is here. And they are also asking if you want to volunteer, if you want to join a group, if you want to, it's not just saying that you're here.
Okay.
Participate in different ways.
Okay, so, all right, I've just done a lot of events and I've never seen people so disciplined to know to get in line immediately to sign in. What?
You can see the line, it's easy to see, so I think he's just promoting everyone.
Okay. So there's been allegations made that there's people at these events that are paid.
Yeah.
You know, I've been involved in a lot of Trump events and I've never heard of anybody ever being paid. Are there people here that you think are being paid?
No.
Okay, so it's just very bizarre that everybody knows to get in line.
Not always come walk over here to an empty parking lot and see a line. That's not bizarre.
I think it's quite bizarre because I stood here and watched when nobody was here. Everybody that showed up got out of their cars and immediately got in a line. All right, but thank you.
It's like nothing but immigrants, mobs.
So to me, it's super bizarre. I've done a lot of, other than an entry gate, where they don't even make you sign in at an entry gate for a Trump event, I've never seen people so religiously get in line. See, everybody shows up and immediately gets in line. So as I was leaving before their protest started by the Big Lots, I got a call from somebody that there were like 50 of them, 50 to 100 of them back here behind Kohl's in what is the Grandma's property where the Showcase Cinemas used to be. And I came around and they were all like protesting here. Then all of a sudden, like in mass, except for a few of them, they went into the Kohl's store and apparently went through the mall. I tried to go around to the mall to catch them, but they had already been through by the time I got there. And there were a few stragglers out here in the parking lot. When I walked by them, I'm like, what are they doing? They can't just walk into a mall and do a protest in there. And the people that were still here, I think, they were like, yeah, we know, and that's why they didn't go in. It's crazy because I've been involved in a lot of these kind of political events, like Trump, pro-Trump stuff in my case, and I've always gotten clear permission and been very sensitive to stay within the boundaries. I never would have thought about, like, let's have people at a Trump thing walk through the mall with all their Trump stuff, protesting or praising. It's crazy. It's just it's funny that people that are talking about, you know, no kings feel like they're kings and can just do whatever they want without proper permission.